One thing that has always annoyed me about the food and drinking culture in Northern Europe is that we don't seem to think of eating and drinking as a combination. We eat to feel full and drink to get drunk, and thereby lose a lot of the pleasure that comes from the actual practice of eating and drinking. Here in Denmark, a beer is usually served on its own, and if you're lucky, you'll get a crisp or a nut on the side. In other parts of the world, this is almost unthinkable, and the idea of always serving a little bite to eat with your beverage has led to the evolution of some of the world's finest cuisines. Tapas from Spain is probably the most famous of these, but across the Mediterranean, from the Balkans to the Levant, we find an incredible variety of small dishes under the common term meze. And this to me is probably one of the best assemblages of food cultures, especially if you're looking for vegetarian dishes. The word meze is most likely derived from the Persian word for tasting, and according to Turkish scholar of Middle Eastern eating Ayla Algar, it most likely originates from a Persian culture, where wine was the center of an emotional and aesthetic experience that also included other forms of enjoyment, notably food and music. The original meze of Persia appear to have been tart fruits such as pomegranates, quinces and lemons, designed to alleviate the bitter taste left by unripe wine. The meze tradition has since then evolved in different ways in different cultures. In majoritively Muslim countries, where most people abstain from drinking alcohol, wine is no longer a center of the meze table, but meze has rather become more of a full meal with a bunch of small dishes. In the Balkans, it still usually is served along with a beverage, and sometimes even for free as an addition whenever you buy a drink. This is something that I think we could get a lot better at in Northern Europe, and in the coming weeks I will be focusing a lot on different meze. Today I'm making a Lebanese dish that they call either moussaka or mahmour, and it is something that I really fell in love with the first time I tried it. It's a very simple chickpea and aubergine stew, but the addition of dried mint makes it quite special. So here we go. Our mahmour starts with an onion, a few cloves of garlic and an aubergine. Chop the aubergine into cubes and the onion and garlic relatively finely. Then throw your aubergine chunks into a dry pan with some salt to get out some water. And after about 5 minutes, add a generous glog of olive oil. The oil is not only there for the frying purposes, it is also a key part of the final flavor and texture of the dish, so be generous. Also, you don't want to stir the aubergines too much after the oil goes in, because we want them to caramelize nicely, and stirring them up only just releases more water and makes them kind of mushy. When they look soft and caramelized and taste nice and sweet, you can fish them out and add the onions and garlic to the pan. Fry for about 5 minutes, and when they are just about to pick up some color, you can add some tomato paste and let it fry for a couple of minutes to get it nice and sweet. When it comes to spicing up this thing, you can of course play around with it, but it definitely needs dried mint. So I go with 2 teaspoons of dried mint, and then half a teaspoon of cayenne, 1 teaspoon of sweet paprika, half a teaspoon of cinnamon and salt and pepper. Fry the spices for a minute and then add 1 can of chopped tomatoes, a can of chickpeas, our fried aubergines, and 2.5 deciliters of water. A final seasoning with salt and pepper, and then let it simmer for at least half an hour. When you lift off this lid, you find a simple but delicate stew. The sweetness from the onion, tomato and aubergine is met with the freshness of the dried mint and leaves you with a fairly unique flavor profile for a dish that really has very few ingredients. You could serve this dish hot with rice or flatbread, but it is actually even better once it has cooled down to room temperature and is served as part of a meze serving along with some other snacks like hummus, labneh, flatbreads, falafel, etc. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next week.